Hello, everybody. This is Phil from Car Modeling Outside the Box, and we are down in the basement, or I guess you call it the basement. We basically have a property that declines steadily all the way down to the backyard, and it's created some extra room space down in the lower parts of the back of the house. So we're going to go through some items which are on the workbench here today, and go through files and paint. And a few other things, adhesives also. So part of the files that I use are the small ones are here for, I got flat files, triangular files, round files, and a few others here. When they go through these a step at a time, I've got the ones on the left here are called Riffler files. And if you're working on a curved surface that is difficult to get with any kind of a piece of sandpaper or straight file or anything, you'd want to use something like this because it's a curved section. You can go underneath and work the curves out, work the kinks out, and that's actually one of the most versatile files for that kind of purpose. Another files I've got some regular flat files. I've got some flat and tapered. They're tapered come to a point. I've also got some round files here that are very handy also. But this basically is my collection of small files that I've got. I do have some that are 8, 9 inches long. One's a semicircular that I use for carving out wheel wells if you need something like a gasser and you don't have the rear wheel openings for it. You can use that to make them. I got some round files here that are handy, but most of them are smaller. If you notice, it's kind of on the smaller side. Like I say, I have two big ones, but most of these are small. Okay, when it comes to paints, there's some primary ones that I use. If I need a small paint job, spot painting, that kind of thing, I generally go with a Tamiya, something like that, or a small can. They're small cans. They are 100 milliliter net volume, so it's a small can. But I'll tell you what, that propellant is such that it will propel that paint out right to the very end. So you get your money's worth on those. The next one on the left here is Rust-Oleum. They are found in mass in a lot of stores. When you go to Walmart, you find most of the paints are Rust-Oleum. Hardware stores around here, most of the paints are Rust-Oleum. So they worked out some kind of deal with them. Now they say that they adhere to plastics, and that's kind of a loose term because I don't find them adhering that well to a lot of the plastic model material that they use. So it's okay for spot painting. It's okay for just painting small units, differentials, that kind of thing. But I would not rely on it as far as making a nice smooth paint job on car bodies, for example. Um, some people can do it, and that's fine. I've always had difficulty with that. So anyway, there's two Krylons that I use. One is the standard paint, which is the one right over here. That's our standard one. Now the other is if you have a gloss finish and you want to dull that down, use something like this one. It's a Krylon matte finish, and that will it's like Testor's dull coat, if you remember those or if you've seen them. They will instantly dull out the paint, but it's good to use those generally in about 70 degrees plus. You don't want to do it too cold, and right now it's about 60 degrees down here, so it's still fairly cool. Another one that's surprised me, I started using it because there wasn't anything else that they had, is Ace Hardware Store carries one that's called Ace Premium, and I found that it's a very good paint to use on our plastics, the plastics for car modeling. Dries well. it can be applied, still use it up to about 60-65 degrees as starters, to use that paint. But it's something that worked out very well for me. I can find it at the store, at Ace stores, uh, and it's a very good product. Well, over the years, I've come to the conclusion that Tamiya still makes some of the best adhesive glue, the liquid glue. I don't use tube glue anymore. I haven't used it for about 60 years, but I've got other adhesives that I enjoy. I've got Tamiya Extra Thin Cement is about the best one that I use. Um, Loctite, as far as super glue, is good. You got to watch super glues because over time they're going to develop sort of a solid material on the outside of the container. You got to scrape that stuff away as you go. Putties, I've got a couple of things I use. Tamiya putty is good. It's a little bit harder to work with, but it dries solid. So it's a good one. Another one that's I use a spot and glazing putty. This is put out by Bondo. It's an air dry. And it's this huge tube, actually, I got from Amazon. These tubes usually don't come. You get to Walmart or someplace, you don't buy you'd buy tubes about a third of that size. that's pretty much what I've gotten used to. But these are the ones I kind of distilled out over time and have found to be the best ones to use. If you're looking for a good finish to put on something, and if you want it to be a glossy finish that you can apply with a brush, it's Future Floor Wax. This is the consistency that it is in the bottle. Actually, I got this bottle separately from what it comes in, but it's a liquid. It stays liquid and will not deteriorate over time. But if you want to put that on with a brush, you can. Airbrushing, I'm not sure I'd recommend using an airbrush for that, but you better make sure that you clean that thoroughly before you put it away. But this is a very good material. It gives a sprayed on look with a brush. Another indispensable item that you will probably find is using gloves, either regardless of what material they're made out of. These are vinyl gloves that I have. Sometimes I use the other ones, but any of the gloves that they have, yeah, be sure and wear those when you're spray painting, especially, because you want to keep all that stuff off your hands. You get it on the gloves and throw them out, but then it's a bigger pain to try and get those things off your hands. I'm showing you kind of a composite of all the boxes I've got for spare parts, and this has been whittled down over the years, so this is probably about a third of the parts I had at one time. But these are the ones I consider essential. If I need engine parts or something, I can go to it. But it's handy, and especially if you got something you're working on and it doesn't really have the kind of parts you need, which happens when you do modeling outside the box. So I've got more than I could mention actually at this point, but I just wanted to show you what these are just basically shoe boxes. You could buy, say, at Walmart for $1. You know, they might be up for do about $1.20 or $1.30, something like that now, but there's still a cheap way to store your parts and keep them handy. You can see what you got. If you stay in this hobby, you'll probably get other useful tools like toothpicks. Very good for holding different pieces. And got another one here. Is either barbecue skewers. The little wood skewers, you buy 100 of them for a couple of bucks. Yeah, these are extremely handy, as you can see from all the colors of paint I've done on them. They're excellent to paint parts. So it's you can either use well, you can get fancier and hold different items. Let's see what I got there. I think we'll probably draw this to a close today. There's been a lot of things I've shown you, things that are I consider essential, especially if you're going to do any amount of scratch building or uh, modeling outside the box. This parts I'm showing you here are mostly evergreen parts. Uh, I've accumulated them over the years, but there's different thicknesses, widths of flat parts. They have tubes, and they got every kind of shape you can imagine. Um, and a lot of times you won't know what you need until you get to that point that, geez, I could use some different exhaust pipes besides the solid ones that they mold. So you'll probably find you something you can looking for in there. If you, it depends on your storage space too. Uh, Luckily, I have quite a bit of space here, but we don't really use it that much. I still kind of keep myself confined to the plywooded floor here. So, but anyway, I think that's going to be it for now. We've covered a lot of territory today. Hey, if you like this program, you find its value to you, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Good night.